Facebook or Fakebook? A closer look into online identity. Let's take a look at my Facebook profile page. Goffman says when an individual enters the presence of others, they commonly seek to acquire information about him or bring into play information about him already possessed. I argue that my identity showing using my Facebook profile is nothing more than an attempt at creating a first impression. Symbols, photos, and text all contribute to an online creation of a snapshot for a first impression. By using the tools Facebook offers, I create an identity based on the initial impression I want people to have of me. This is very similar to first impressions made in face-to-face communication, being that the only difference is now everyone can view it 24/7. First, let us take a look at the About Me section of my profile. The About Me section allows people to seek standard information about myself, like current statuses. It states my employee status, my living situation, my education, and my relationship status. All of these things are common questions asked upon meeting someone, especially for the first time. Facebook allows me to make these first impression style questions to show anyone anytime. Boehm argues that mediated encounters have the potential to liberate people from the constraints of their social context. Upon meeting someone face to face, you will most likely ask questions like what is your relationship status. However, some people may first look to see if someone is wearing a wedding ring. Facebook allows one to construct their identity without the constraints of having to ask questions or assume. I am not married, but that doesn't mean I am necessarily available. I construct this part of my identity using simple text, which is constrained in face-to-face contact. Facebook also allows users to post their interests and likes. All of my likes and interests, such as movies, books, fashion, Rutgers-related pages, etc., all help in constructing a first impression for others to see. I select and choose which ones I want to add. Does this mean they are false? No. Authentic self-representation is not always a simple question of true and false. I am more just illustrating a first impression that I want others to see. People will get a sense that I am a Rutgers student, I like to read, I am most likely a girl that enjoys romantic comedies, and is interested in fashion. I choose to include these things so people will get a better look and a quick look into a better construction of what kind of person I am. I may choose not to include that I like the movie Despicable Me because people might get an impression that I am younger than I am or childish. I construct my identity on Facebook as if it were a first impression. People have only the information they see to make an impression, so I create an identity that looks good on paper, or in this case on screen. Let us move to look at my profile picture. There is a saying that a picture speaks 1,000 words. Profile pictures allow users to select one photo to represent their whole profile and ultimately their online identity. My profile picture is one of me dressed up for Halloween, laughing with my best friend, and having a good time. So what does this say? I have constructed a first impression to show people that I think I am easygoing and friendly versus disagreeable and intimidating. People view our profile and determine their own views and interpretations by the visuals and symbols that we provide. In such one-way communication, we try to construct representations of ourselves with one photo. I want to give a first good impression, so I choose one that I felt to connotation of my personality. Mendelsohn and Papakarasi say that the comments posted by friends reinforce group cohesiveness and closeness. We leave comments and like photos on Facebook to show other people that we know each other and that we have some relationship. In this, we are constructing part of our identity that we belong to some group of people and that we are social in the sense that we have a lot of friends. By leaving a description of my profile picture, I am not only showing an impression that I have a best friend, but also the strength of our relationship. I am constructing this identity that I am social. Recently, Facebook has introduced what is called a cover photo in addition to a profile picture. Now we can further our identity with two main photos. My cover photo is a picture of me and my roommates all wearing Rutgers shirts before the football game. A large part of my identity offline is that I am a Rutgers college student. I construct this part of my identity online as a big part of who I want others to see me as by making it my cover photo. Cover photos are one of the first things people see on my profile page, and therefore one of the first symbols that construct impressions. I've constructed my profile so at first glance, people can immediately get a sense of my age and education status. Photos have the ability to be untagged and tagged on Facebook, but does this falsely construct our identity? Goffman talks about defensive and protective practices that people use to avoid embarrassment. This is done in the same way by untagging photos. Think about before Facebook when you had physical photo albums and you showed your friends. Did you show them that one horrible picture of you picking your nose? Probably not. This is done in the same way with untagging photos on Facebook. We want to construct a first impression that makes our identity look good and embarrassment-free. Photos are still images that speak for themselves, so we choose those which are best to represent a more perfect impression of our identity of ourselves. Lastly, statuses allow users to constantly reinforce their constructed identities. My cover photo is a picture of me at a Rutgers football game. I'm constantly reinforcing my identity as a Rutgers student by making statuses about Rutgers football. My online identity is further reinforced and updated by posting statuses. We're able to construct this idea of creating a first impression by text that complements symbols already on our profiles. Foggy mirror is a term saying people are not lying per se, but their self-image differs from others' perceptions. Their textual self-descriptions would diverge from the third party's descriptions. It is hard to describe yourself and even harder to give people a representation of your identity without you there to give an explanation. With my online identity on Facebook, I am merely attempting to present my best possible construction of a first impression on people. I put all accurate information through my interests, photos, comments, and statuses that all give a snapshot of my identity offline. My online identity on Facebook is a way to construct an online first impression. A good way to exemplify this point of only using Facebook online identity as if it were a first impression is to look at a celebrity's Facebook profile. Here is Victor Cruz's profile. If we were to just look at his page for less than 30 seconds, we would have an accurate impression formed. Let's take a closer look. All Facebook profiles have similar things to be included in the About Me section. Right away you can see his occupation, his education, where he lives, and that he is a celebrity. These are all standard questions that are used to construct our identity and easily used by online tools. We can also see his likes and interests. Not many people know Victor Cruz on a personal level, so he puts up likes and interests to give people a glimpse of his identity. He likes comedy talk shows, his own football team, sports games, and a few endorsements. He only gives you a glimpse for you to form a first impression that he is a football player who likes sports. He doesn't include any movies or clothing because he wants people to form this impression that his main identity is a football celebrity. Now let's take a look at his profile picture. He chooses a picture of himself dressed up in a suit, smiling and laughing. He, similar to me, picked a picture that would form a first impression of what he may be like. This picture gives a construction that he's personable, friendly, and easygoing. Also that maybe he's more than just a football player. He chooses this picture with the idea that his profile was like a first impression and he only had one shot. Looking at his cover photo, we further get proof of this first impression identity construction. His cover photo is a picture of himself in a football uniform on the field. People know him as a player for the Giants, making it a large part of his identity. Upon looking at his cover photo, which is one of the first things our eyes fall on, you're already forming a first impression of who he is. He, like I, is only creating a first impression. He wants to have an image where he looks good on screen, not pictures of him drinking or where he would be embarrassed. Most of his pictures are of him playing football at events or doing endorsements. He will untag as a way to protect his online identity as a first impression builder. Statuses, as explained before, allow us to reinforce our constructed identity. Victor Cruz has constructed this first impression that he is a football player, but may also be easygoing as seen through his cover photo and profile picture. He further reconstructs his identity by adding statuses thanking his fans and statuses about his football playing. This idea of a first impression gets reinforced. So in conclusion, when we construct our online identity, we are not being fake. We are creating a first impression for other people. Facebook allows people to view oneself anywhere, anytime. So we need to create a consistent snapshot representation as if it were like a first impression. We want to conclude only information that gives a first impression that would be as if we were meeting someone for the first time face to face.